So, introduction to complex numbers. First thing to say is they're not complex. They're not called complex because they're complicated. They're called complex because they consist of two numbers. A real number and an imaginary number. So, that's the proper meaning of the word complex. It's like if you go to the shopping complex, it means there's more than one shop. Or the sports complex, it means there's various activities. That's all it means. I know they are linked, but that's where it comes from because it consists of two things. So it's nothing to do with it being complicated. Some of it does get a little bit complicated, but it isn't too bad. But it's come about, initially it came about, a chap called, I probably pronounced his name wrong, Girolamo Cardano. Okay? And believe it or not, he came up with this in 1545.
45?
Yeah, 16th century.
Yeah.
A long time ago.
It's only about 500, 600 years old.
Oh, did you say 15?
1545.
Oh, was it 1945?
1545.
Alright, bunny.
And then, nobody really had a real purpose for it for a lot of years. He did it because of what you saw in the video. You cannot do square roots of a negative number. Because if no number multiplied by itself will give you negative 4. If you've got negative 2 and you square it, you get 4. So it doesn't exist. If you try it if you've got your calculator with it and you put it in there, you'll see what happens when you try it. Unless you've got a good calculator. Have you done it? What did you get? Math, yeah, math, and it should be maths by the way, not maths, we're not American. But anyway, that's just going out on YouTube. So, a maths error, it causes a maths error. Okay. Unless you've got a really good calculator, and then you'll find it does give you a solution. Or if your phone's got a good scientific calculator with an app that you might download it, some of them will do complex numbers. So all the maths we're going to do, you can do on your phone. Or online on software. There's a fantastic piece of software online called Wolfram Alpha. So if you just do a Google search for Wolfram Alpha, right, does it do complex numbers? Oh, is that the Wolfram Alpha?
Yeah.
That is awesome what that'll do actually. We'll see more about that as we go on a bit and start doing the different forms. If you look at this, we can split this up mathematically into this. Would you all agree with me on that? That we can do that with it mathematically? There's nothing wrong with that. So, and we know what this is, square root of 4. It's 2, yeah. So another way of looking at it is square root of 1 minus 1 times 2.
Wouldn't the 2 in front of
It doesn't matter actually, because that times that.
the...
We'll come to that in a minute actually. Yeah, it's next to it, so it's times. You don't have to write in the times all the time.
Why is it a minus 1 and wouldn't that make minus 2 for it?
It's square root of minus 1,
Yes.
which you can't, if you put that in your calculator, that'll give you a maths error as well, you can't have it. But what this Italian gentleman, I won't try saying his name again, what the Italian gentleman came up with is, he designated this as the letter I. So he gave it I for the imaginary, and that basically stands for minus 1. So it doesn't matter what the rest of the numbers are, you always
So you always start with the minus 1?
Yes, basically yes.
Oh,
You're going to convert it into a form where you've got I for the minus 1. Yeah.
So root minus 4 equals I2.
Yes.
Or 2i.
Perfect.
Or 2i.
Or 2i. So let me mention that. So that's actually wrong what I'm doing there, because I'm in the wrong place. So this would be I2 or 2i. So you can use either your calculators. If you've got a calculator that does complex numbers and gives that answer as I2, it'll actually give you the 2i. It puts it this way around. I prefer it that way around myself. Having said that, I tend to get confused and use both without thinking about it. So you'll see both appear. That just means I times 2, and that means 2 times I, which is the same thing. A times B is the same as B times A. 3 times 2 is the same as 2 times 3. Okay?
So is that just to get rid of the minus?
Yes, it's a workaround.
Right.
So this gentleman, this Italian gentleman, came up with this workaround And then there wasn't really much of an application for it for a long time, for quite a few number of years. I'll come back to that in a second. On this subject, I use it this way because, I try to use it this way because if you think of this, for example, 2 times x, the variable x, we tend to put the coefficient out front to show that's the standard way of doing it. Now that's good, that makes perfect sense. So I like to put the I in front of the number because it's different and it shows it's not a variable, because you can have variables of I.
Yeah.
In electrical engineering and electronics, we use I's for current, particularly current that varies, like AC current,
Yeah.
and we use the capital I for DC current. So it's already used for us, which brings me back to the other point. Why do engineers use J? Because we're already using I.
What does G stand for?
It's just a letter actually that we've applied, like everything.
Like A and D.
Any notation.
You just
Why?
write it with the notation.
Is that the imaginary number still?
That is the magic. That is exactly the same as I.
You just write
So do we just tend to use the J because we're engineers?
So J
Yes.
equals imaginary
So we got the
number.
like better.
That is it. That is exactly it. We use J because I is already taken for us, particularly in electrical engineering. So we like to use the J. So it's actually got. Tom?
Can't we just use the I?
If you want to, you can. Yes. There's nothing wrong with it. Mathematically, it's correct. If you were doing A-level maths, you would use I, and your calculator will use I, and Wolfram Alpha will use I. Even if you put it in as J, it'll convert it to I. I think it does that, if I'm not mistaken. It does what Google does. It goes, we think you mean this to be the imaginary number. If you didn't mean it to be, if you meant it to be a variable, click here. You know when Google says, you spelled it wrong, and it says, we think you meant this. But if you didn't mean this, click here. It does that. There's Wolfram Alpha.